If you can stop talking for 10 seconds, that would be fantastic. You want to hit the start timer on there? You want to hit? You want to start podcasting, genius?
Hey, Biff.
Yeah.
What happened to the man who slipped on the bra?
The man who slipped on the bra, as in like the kind of the body part supporting device, the bra.
There you go. Correct.
What kind of a question is that? What happened to the man who slipped on the bra?
He fell into a booby trap.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I should have known. I should have known. I don't know why I engage in this thing every time. It's really, because it's never good. Never turns out good.
There could be a debate. Okay, you
I
love
don't
this.
think so.
No, you love this one. All right.
No, I won't. I know I won't.
I think we need a stunt Biff. I'll be the stunt Biff. Biff,
right.
you leave the room. I'll be stunt Biff.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Biff.
Hey, stuff.
You have a joke for me?
I do.
Oh, boy.
What is R2D2 short for?
Gosh, if I know, Jacques, I hope you have an answer.
'Cause he has tiny legs. You see, you thought like I was going to have an acronym, but it was just.
I don't want to be here anymore.
I don't know. You're hired. You are hired.
But it is great. It's been way too long since we've seen you, Biff. Between work, between your
last time I was a little,
hockey globe, your abilities behind the pipes and the net,
something like that,
taking you to glorious locations all over the greater Scottsdale area. But welcome back, Biff. It's been way too long.
Thank you.
Maybe we should welcome the audience.
You know what? Welcome, everybody, to Carnival Personnel. My name is Jacques.
This is Biff.
I'm Joe.
Also known as Stunt Show.
Stunt Biff.
Stunt Biff.
Ready and willing.
So, Biff, Joe and I just recorded next week's Sideshow with yet another person in our run of Boston Comedy Festival contestants.
Yeah. And I gotta say, those episodes have been fantastic. So I think, I just think they're great.
I mean,
yeah,
and it's obviously the amazing guests, and we've had such a run.
Yeah,
Angelica Scanora from Toronto, who was a co-winner, who I follow on the socials. She has a really fun fitness pub culture YouTube show. It's akin to like a really fun if Good Morning America was on ESPN2 is basically what her show is, and it's great. Joe Katz, who was a finalist, he was great, and then Casey Crawford, who between him and his wife, arguably the smartest two people Joe and I've got to spend time with. And the next week's guest competed in this year's festival, but Joe met him last night because last night was Jim McCue's Comedy Club 3rd year anniversary up in Portsmouth. It was one of those things where we were just going up to the show to, because Jim's a great guy. It's always a fun show. And 50-50 if I was even going to be thrown into the mix. And honestly, it wasn't until 10 minutes before, the guy who runs the show, Liam, and Jim were trying to figure out, well, who's confirmed coming, what comedians are coming in. Because, and
who's here?
It has become this thing where, there's usually 3 or 4 or 5 comics on those shows, but so many comics who live in the area who don't have something on a Saturday night are just starting to stop on by. Either to watch a show or hang out. Steve Bjork, my favorite comic, last week, just same thing. He didn't have anything going on. He lives about 20 minutes away Saturday night. So, which is funny because this is a guy who works 3 or 4 days a week doing comedy on his
Right.
off night. He's like, yeah, I'll go. And when they're like, hey, you want to go up and do 10? He's like, you know what? I will go up and do 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, what were your takeaways from last night's show there, Joe?
I thought that everybody was good. Even the opener, even the opener
Even
was
the opener.
was good. That opener being, of course, Jacques Lambert. I thought the crowd was receptive, especially like the three wine mom kind of, women in that row. They were adding a lot to the laughter. So, and you know what? They make a fine, good burger. I will say that Roundabout Cafe or whatever, the restaurant, they're a fine establishment. So kudos all around. Congrats to Jim McCue on his 3 years. Congrats to Jacques on his final comedy performance. Final, right? No? Am I being presumptive there? But no, I got to meet a couple of new comics, one of which will be on our next podcast, right?
Yep. The next sideshow is with Mystaru.
Mystaru. Yeah, Mystaru. Yeah.
And, fun guy, started off like a lot of people, like he's turning 50 this year. So he grew up in the center, the epicenter of the breakdancing, white rapper kid thing in the Northeast. So he was a lot of fun. And he participated. He was one of the contestants in the Boston Comedy Festival. And it is just getting in is an achievement because, I don't want to say thousands. I don't know how many. I just know only 72 people got in this year. And I know Angelica Scanora, this was her 5th time sending in a tape trying to get in. So, I met people there from Ottawa, from Vancouver. There was one contestant who's, I want to say she's from Sweden, but moved to LA 2 years ago to do comedy, but she got in and came to this festival. So people do submit from all over. It's probably one of the 3, probably this, South by Southwest, and then, Dante the Comic's been running an LA-based comedy festival for 20 years. Those are probably the 3 biggest. But it's
South by Southwest as a comedy festival.
Oh, it's all at once now.
I didn't realize they had a comedy thing.
Yep. No, it started off as a music thing, but then so many independent film, like the independent film scene started to blow up in Austin the same time music did. And then they branched out to comedy. Yeah. So South by Southwest is comedy.
So that's a competition. So I knew that there was comedy, but I just didn't know that was a competition because I've seen some comics post that they're going to be at South by Southwest. It's, that's, I guess more to it. And then, so.
Yeah, well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is just a festival where the best of them go. But the same thing, Montreal was a showcase thing too. That was a festival.
Yeah.
Type thing where this is a competition, but it was great. He was a fantastic guest. So our run of guests, which has strung back several months at this point, and I know we have a bunch more comics coming up. I know our friend Jenna Rose Robbins, who's been on our show before, she is an author. She has a new book and podcast coming out that is, she has been a ghostwriter for 25 years. She's a ghostwriter. She's written a lot of autobiographies. Also, she's a travel, I don't know if you say blogger or vlogger, but back in the day when I met her, she ran AOL's travel site.
Oh, wow.
Like all of AOL. Yeah, when I started my company Spitfire in Santa Monica, we had half the floor. The other half of the floor was AOL. And it was all the editors of, here was the sports guy, here was this. And she ran the travel. And she has found a way for a good 10 plus years, maybe 15 years, she traveled almost full time on somebody else's dime, blogging and vlogging, about, her travel. So she's still been able, but over the past, 15 years, she's been not only a ghostwriter for celebrities and athletes, but worked for a company that helps you write, like the average person, write their book, whether it's a fiction or nonfiction or whatever. And her and one of her, comrades who does the same thing over the last few years have decided, why don't we write a book about how to write a book, how it really works, and they're doing a corresponding podcast to go with it. So she will be on soon. So anyways, we've had a lot of guests, all that, but you know what? I'm not the only one with stuff going on. Joe, congratulations on being 2 for 2 of getting your 2 sons through high school.
Thank you. I had nothing to do with it.
I wouldn't say nothing. I personally know, and I won't embarrass him, the great lengths that Joe had to go to, especially the last couple years, helping maintain not moving out of the district so your son didn't have to change schools, and the personal sacrifice is tremendous. But seriously, you got 2 kids through high school without any calls from local or state enforcement agencies. Let's
just say that for one of the children that I was supposed to be responsible for, I did have a court date.
Oh, see, you guys are cool. I don't have, my kids are total nerds.
No. There is nothing cool about a court date. Let me tell you.
I guess it all depends on the charge, really.
Yeah.
But no, everybody's different. Hey, one of them could turn out to be a crazy serial killer, God forbid. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm not saying that mental illness runs in my family. I'm not saying any of those things might be contributing factors to a horrific crime that happens 10 years from now. And, this is all like part of a montage of a dateline that'll happen, like in 2023. I mean, sorry, no, 2027 or whatever.
Yeah. I guess it's true. We don't want Keith Morrison, calling out our names, right?
Yeah, we want to stay on the right side of history. But no, I'm proud of my sons, and I'm glad that that chapter of their lives are closed. And now, it's for my younger son, it's off to college for questionable amount of years.
Well,
and
again, your oldest son, the college path, wasn't right for him at the time, but he did get into the most prestigious music school, I think, in the country. When you can downplay it however you want, but I mean, seriously, dude, you've done a great job. Biff, I'm happy to say I made the invite list for the graduation party next week. So, happy to report that an exclusive, family, close friends only, like soiree, and I will be there. So, but seriously, Joe, it is a big thing. And I was talking to my oldest son about this a couple of weeks ago. All the shit that we dealt with as kids, again, I wouldn't want to be a kid right now for anything. Like the challenges and the pressures of school and all that kind of stuff. It's a lot that he got through. He did very well, very active in different groups, and looking forward to college. So take a skate around, my friend.
Oh, thank you.
Yep.
And so, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how things shake out, especially on the employment side. It's summer. You got to get a summer job, like there's that. There is what am I trying to say? There's a temptation to just sit around and do jack squat, especially when you have a father who's not going to push you. So thankfully there's another parent that will push me to push him, and he'll be right as rain in no time.
I wanted to, before we move on, we talked about the great show, the Showcase show. I had another show last week that I had posted. It was called Goats and Giggles at Goats to Go Farm. It's a farm called Goats to Go in Georgetown, Massachusetts. It's a company that rents out goats to come chew your lawn, or that kind of stuff.
Right. But that's in your area, or is it?
It is in my area. Yeah, about an hour away. They do goat yoga, which is a thing. It's a therapeutic thing to do, and it was the best awful show ever.
Well, there's like my old office in LA. Downtown LA has a lot of hills, and there was this one park that was on a hill, and so every year there was a goat herder that came in, brought his herd, and basically mowed the lawn. Quote.
Yeah. No, it's a real thing. They rent them out all.
Yeah.
And then
And what animal eats up the goat's shit that the goats leave after eating up the grass?
That's the fertilizers. They
Oh.
actually mow and fertilize at the same time. It's really a terrific service.
They're taking my job, is what I'm saying. I think.
The shitting outside.
Wait. Yeah, so I'm gonna say.
Okay.
Yes, you heard me.
Yeah.
What are the Mexican goats coming over here taking your job?
They're American goats, but still. Let a human eat grass
and
for,
shit it
America.
out on the
Yes.
field and fertilize.
Right.
No, it was awful only because, first of all outdoor shows, where it's still light out, it's a little weird. But I thought the show might get canceled because it had rained most of the day, so it was kind of sloshy, like walking from point A to point B to get to the stage because I hosted. And
you don't know what you're sloshing in.
You don't.
Like that could be.
You can tell yourself it's one thing, but you really know. And then they're screaming goats, like all of a sudden.
Those are great. Come on, they're the best.
It was a fun show, and I don't know when I will be posting it, but at the Boston Comedy Festival this year, I met the guy. His name is Matt Shearer. I think he's like Radio Matt on Instagram, but he works for the big AM radio station in Boston, the big news station, WBZ, but he does the fun man and the street kind of quirky interviews and the fun stories.
Human interest is what they call it. Yeah. What's funny? What's fun about the goats being in the audience is that when they heckle you, you can at least like quiet them by giving them a carrot. Too bad you couldn't do that at real, standard shows, like just throw a candy bar at somebody and shut up, you. Eat this.
It will work on me. The other comedy news is, I did a show with Mike Katrobis a week ago, and he said, hey, I got a bunch of shows.
You wanna set that up? Is like Mike Katrobis another comic, or does he have a place?
I'm sorry. Yeah, Mike Katrobis is this New England. He's been on the podcast. He's a regional headliner.
Yeah.
He's been a regional headliner 20 plus years.
Right.
Just shot his comedy special, which will be going out on YouTube in about a month or so.
Yeah.
But he also books tons of shows.
Got it. Okay. Yep.
And he has more shows than he can. He can't be at 2 or 3 shows at once. And our good friend Anthony from Open Mike Payne went out and bought a bunch of gear a couple months ago. And so he's running a bunch of Mike shows. And Mike says to me last week, he goes, hey, if you go get a bunch of gear, I can throw a bunch of shows your way. So I am now the proud owner of a PA system, a couple of mics, a spotlight. And so now, like I was talking to Joe, so now the pressure's on to actually work a little. I'm working pretty hard, but you know what I mean, to take it a little more serious, so I can do enough of these things through Mike. And
nothing more dangerous than a middle-aged white guy with a PA system.
I just want to tell a brief story that my wife got really serious about DJing and got some PAs and stuff like that, and right now that stuff's just kind of sitting in the shelves over here. So yeah,
and I could have come and got it.
It only goes up in value. Really?
I know, right? Vintage. Vintage.
She DJ'd I think it was my wedding party at your house and did a fantastic job. So
I think she was terrific, but I think that particular industry, whatever you want to call it, is a little bit tougher in terms of, I think there's more to it than just the ability to DJ, right? So I think so it's a little
it is. It's a lot. Now we have talked a number of times that I don't care if it's my wife, if it's my children. It will be nearly impossible to give me a better birthday gift than Biff did on June 11th, 2012. It will be very hard to top that.
It was a fun day.
It wasn't that he took me to a hockey game. It wasn't that he took me to a Stanley Cup final game, it was the game in which the Kings won the cup for the first time in franchise history.
Yep.
We were there with some of our closest friends.
Yep.
That said, we got an entry, vying for second place, possibly.
I mean, go ahead.
Definitely the best gift I will get this year that will mean very little to anybody outside the New England area. But my good friend Joe, when I picked him up to go to the show in Portsmouth last night with me, I kind of forgot my birthday's this week. I kind of knew it was coming up, but I'm like,
happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Yep.
He gets in the car and he gifts me. Why don't you tell the people what you gift me, Joe? Because I'm welling up here.
I found some extra cash between the cushions and I pointed it up and I bought him 2 T-shirts. I don't think they quite fit, but I know that they're fitting his goal weight, and that's what really matters. So I had that in mind. But I bought him 2 T-shirts, custom shirts, one of those, I'll give them a plug. They're a fine website, TeePublic. It is a website, and they'll print logos of things you don't necessarily find in Target, like logos of old TV shows or stores or whatever. And so I got 2. One of an old TV show and one from an old defunct store, both of which could be defunct sponsors for this podcast that we do here. So one of the T-shirts is a black T-shirt with a logo of what was called the Movie Loft. It was a block of local, TB38. They ran the Bruins games in Boston, but they when they weren't playing Bruins games or Red Sox games, they would have Dana Hersey host the Movie Loft, and it was sort of like this, it was a movie of the day, 8 p.m. They do the China syndrome or something,
Right.
But it was a standard in Boston viewing for the 70s and 80s and 90s.
Our congratulations to all of you, and thanks for taking part in our contest. We'll be mailing you your copy of Alfred Hitchcock Presents, if you're on that list. You should receive them quite shortly. Back now to Alfred Hitchcock's To Catch a Thief in just a moment, right here on TV38's Movie Loft, WSBK-TV, Boston.
So we loved it, I love Jacques. So I said, you know what? Who has a Movie Loft shirt? Not everybody, but Jacques has a Movie Loft shirt.
And it is one of those things. I'll start wearing it in a month or so, and I'll do a gig, and somebody 40 plus will come over. It's like, dude, where did you get a Movie Loft T-shirt? And we'll just be,
that's the way to do. Yep.
Yeah, it's up there with Otisville. Otisburg. It's like up there. If you know Otisburg, you're like, hey, it's just a nice looking T-shirt. But if you know what that is, it's like.
And the other shirt is a kind of a tan shirt or whatever you want to call it, a cream colored shirt with the big rainbow. It's it kind of doubles as a pride shirt, but it's kind of this rainbow icon with the word Caldor written under it. I don't know if they had Caldor in LA or in any.
I do not know what that is.
I think it might be more of a Northeast. It was an old department store from the 70s and 80s and 90s. It was prominent here in Massachusetts.
Like a Ross. It's kind of like a Ross Dress for Less type, thing out there. But again, there's some of those stores that are just here. Like he could have gone with Bradley's or Building 19, but Caldor. When I looked at it, I was like, yep. I'm pretty sure my boys have no idea my birthday's this week. I don't know what management, might cook up, but I'm pretty sure Joe's in the early league for the best present I will definitely be getting this year.
What'd you buy?
Oh, you'd be surprised.
When you go to California, nothing surprises me. VCR. Okay, Seth.
You'll see.
This week at Caldor, you'll see all software for use with the Commodore 64 and 128 computers on sale at 25% off. The Pollenex foot bath for $19.99 after rebate, and the Pollenex Splash Dance AM/FM shower radio for only $17.40. You'll never not find it at Caldor.
Happy birthday, you big lug, you.
Yeah, happy birthday.
So I've been making, and it's fun. Honestly, I'm going to be honest. It's kind of fun. It's a lot of work. I got a lot more work to go, but I've been cutting up clips from the show and posting them.
Okay.
And I'm starting to put on clips from the stand-up stuff, because it's been suggested by different people. It's like, hey, this is really funny stuff. You should make an effort to, do more of this stuff. The feedback I've been getting is great, but learning the social media algorithms,
Yeah.
it is just so I'm learning. It's like, okay, well, you got to keep the clips really short, and I'm learning editing. I'm just got Photoshop. I'm going to be doing some other things. The biggest frustration is this week, posted one clip that was pretty funny with Casey Crawford that got like on TikTok like 4,000 views, and most of them get about 250, like average like 250 views. But I did okay, you know what? I'll spend like I think it's $20 to promote like this thing, and I got like 4,000 extra views. But then the next clip I posted the next day, which is a funnier clip, I think got 8.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and somebody like, it's like, oh, well, you should really be posting these at like 2 a.m. when England's waking up, type thing. So people see it first thing in the morning. It's like, I'm reading all these things. Jim McCue has.
I'll say this: if AI gets smart enough to figure out what's funny, that's when we have Skynet.
Yeah. Look, dude, I don't want to talk about that. It's not ever going on the agenda because we're so fucking close to it. It's like,
would it be so bad? Really, guys? Would it be so bad?
Well, you know what?
Total annihilation.
Ask me November 6th, because November 6th I could be I could be trying to find John Connor because I want to live,
Right?
Or I could be praising the machine,
Yes.
to bring on our extinction.
You'll be looking for the Skynet button.
But no,
I'm just gonna say that it's gonna be a challenge for me to wake up to do these podcasts when I'm living in Japan, because the time difference is just brutal.
see, I think it's. I'm trying to think the age gap. It's plausible that you could adopt Joe and say Joe is your son. I'm out of the running. I mean, you would have had a kid like early in high school, late like junior high to say he's your kid. But you could pull that off. So Joe might be going with you. Otherwise, I'm going to have to look into gay marriage with you, Biff, to get to be able to.
I hate to tell you this, but Japan doesn't recognize gay marriages.
Ah, damn it! All right. Well, I guess
what kind of a country do you think that is?
So half the country of this country, half the people in this country think it's a great country.
Right, exactly.
It's a terrific country.
Yeah,
gay marriage not recognized.
So
don't say that too loud, because a lot of the hicks from this country are going to move over there. Like, they don't recognize gay marriage. Come on, Betsy.
we know for a fact they have Protestant or born again churches over there. Church of God, I think some people will call them.
Oh, but you know what's funny about Japan is they could shut down churches.
Oh,
This the religious
sold.
Religious freedom. I'm sorry, I'm kind of going sideways on this. The reason why the former Prime Minister Abe was shot was the guy who shot him. His mother joined basically what is effectively a cult, right?
Oh.
And he said that my mother ruined our family by giving all of our money to this cult, right? And then she saw that Abe did this promotional video for this particular church, and says so she's so that was the connection. It was like not really political at all,
Wow.
which was
It was
shocking.
personal.
It was personal, but what's the after effect of it is not only has this church been shut down, but any politician that had people were finding, we have this association of this politician with this church, and they're just getting killed on they're either they're often getting voted out or so yeah, it's like. So it's a very different environment in terms of this kind of stuff.
If that would happen in America, where a church would influence our leaders, and somebody railed against the leader for lying with the church, the leader would have the church
Yeah.
kill that guy.
Yeah.
It would be the other way around. It wouldn't be like, oh, we have to shut down the churches and stuff. No. Just quiet that one guy.
I think we're jumping ahead to November 5th again. So why don't we just, but sold. But speaking of killing politicians, you guys
Which we are not
We're
advocating.
No,
AI.
we're not. But have you been following what's been going on in Mexico?
Are you talking about? Well, I just know about the new. Are you talking about the new Jewish president?
The new president.
Yes.
Yeah.
But in this election cycle, and I cannot believe this was pointed out to Dante the Comic had posted an article about this on his Facebook, and I'm like, or on wherever I saw it, and he's like, how is this not making news in our country? And I'm like, yeah, this can't really be real because otherwise it would be headline news in our country.
Yeah.
In this election cycle in Mexico, there's been, I believe the latest count, 47 political assassinations.
Wow.
47. And I just looked it up today. So yeah, they elected, they elected their country's first female president, Claudia Sheinbaum. Am I
I can't remember her name, so yeah, but yeah.
Sheinbaum. But
yeah, okay.
40, but within days of being elected, or the day after, two mayors, female mayors in different cities in Mexico, gunned down, with their bodyguards in broad daylight. But there's been 40, I think it's well over 20 plus people who put in papers to run for president were assassinated.
Wow.
And it is not making any of the news here that it has been the bloodiest election in Mexico history, which I guess is saying something because there's a history of bloody elections in Mexico. But this so far, and there's no end in sight because, like I said, the day and the second day after, two other mayors.
So I guess I'm going to cross off the, first Japanese president of Mexico dream that I had.
Unless you're running over Zoom and just from Japan.
Now you're getting people. Now you're going to get rednecks to want to move to Mexico. Hey, they can kill their political people over there and have no reprisal. And
it is scary, but you know what? You keep putting that out there, Joe, because the more that move out of here, the less there are. But let's talk about something fun. I love myself the superheroes. Batman and of course is the number 2 behind Nightwing. But not all heroes wear capes. But this guy, I believe, was wearing a cape when he pulled off his heroic feat. If you guys were paying attention to the news the last few weeks, some mystery man in New York City was going around posting a picture of himself in a mask, advertising that on this day, on this time, at this spot, he is going to eat an entire can
I know about,
of cheese puffs.
That's, I saw that. It's like, really? That's what it's come down to?
For weeks, he was posting, or maybe his people were posting, this is going to happen on this date, at this time, at this park, and hundreds of people showed up. Hundreds of people showed up.
Yeah, I saw this.
Which the guy shows up wearing a mask, running around.
He's got a tub of Cheetos, It wasn't Cheetos, it was cheese
balls.
Cheese balls. Cheese balls, yeah.
And it was, I'm not going to say I was a little disappointed, but it wasn't one of those ones that I think I brought to your house a thing of cheese balls for the podcast once, Joe, that I think your family ate 4 meals a day with it for a month because that's how big the tub was. And it was a respectable sized tub, but after giving a speech, after running around to his cheering fans, he then stood there with the mask on and ate the can of cheese balls and then rode off into the sunset.
Wow. Well, good for him. I'm glad it wasn't one of those I'm actually going to turn on this can of crazy purple knockout gas and then like gas all the people that he suckered into meeting him in a public place. But hey, good for him. Was it a standard canister of Planters cheese balls?
It was a little bigger. It was like a party size.
Yeah.
It was a party size,
all right.
thing of baseball.
Respect. I
Hero.
respect the I
Hero.
respect the party size.
I mean, you're in New York. There's so much you can do in New York, and like to spend your time. You could be going to Central Park, and just hanging around the pond and admiring the Canada geese, and then tossing food right next to 3-year-olds hanging around so that the geese look like they're attacking the little child.
I mean
that's
this guy probably had to fend off the geese as he was eating the cheese balls.
cheese
right?
balls. That's why he did it in the city, not in the Central Park, because
Right.
because those Central Park birds are also pretty deadly. So did you hear about the incident? I think one of the heiresses of one of the French designers had a poodle or something like that got too close to, I think, a swan's nest, and the mother's swan drowned that dog because hey, you're close to my babies.
Yeah.
And she tried to sue the city. It's like, I'm sorry, but you can't sue nature. Is basically the response that the Parks and Recs, I don't know what they're called, but I'm gonna call them Parks and Recs, told them, and so it was apparently ultimately thrown out. But apparently, maybe a bad idea to just have your little dog off leash during breeding season in Central Park.
Dogs need to be on leashes. I've been saying
Yeah.
this over. And you know what? I say swans need to be on leashes as well. Let's leash them all up.
No. Swan needs to be on harnesses, and so you can ride them and ride the swans. And actually, come on, if you can get a monkey to ride a swan,
Oh my God!
Right?
Eating cheese puffs.
Eating
Good
cheese
Lord.
puffs. Oh my God!
Well, I think I have a new mission in life.
I think we just cracked the algorithm for TikTok.
No.
Oh,
See, I'll tell them you're a rescue mission, and you're going to one of those unethical labs that test on monkeys. Yeah, we're bailing out those monkeys, and then of course
look, you can be tested on or ride a swan.
Swan.
So moving on here, there's no monkey riding swan video games yet. But
that's not what Joust is.
Oh, you know what? You are right.
Oh yeah.
Look-
That was an ostrich. Thank you.
Ostriches don't fly. I'm going to say
That
it's a
was an
swan,
ostrich.
but it flies.
Are they in the same family?
It was
see
not a
them being
swan.
Confused. Yeah.
It barely flew. Well, yeah, I guess it kind of did fly.
Well, I saw him dive.
Yeah,
and
I
thought
don't know. I'm sure maybe it was a swan. It could be a cross between the two. I don't know.
We're having philosophical discussions about what bird.
Well, I'm just glad it's over soon because I think it would get escalating.
Yes.
You think if we put this on the socials, it'll go
Blow
viral?
up. It's going to blow up. This is
Right.
it. We figured it out.
Yeah, just take a screen grab of Joust and with an arrow pointing to it and saying, "What is this
Is
bird?"
This bird.
Done. I got my evening's work ahead of me, gentlemen. So we got to wrap it up soon. But video games, what are you playing, if anything, there, Joe?
I am not really playing too many video games. I've kind of just languished. I returned the video games I borrowed from a couple of weeks ago to the library, and now I'm just all I have left are the hundreds of games behind me that I've yet to even look at. I don't even pay it. You thought I ignored my children. My video games are even more neglected. I'm not playing much, but I'm sure Biff's been picking up the slack in the video game world.
No.
I guess does a remote control to turn on the hockey game count as a video game?
It does.
It's been slow in that, because we had a week off without any hockey because of after the last series ended. The first game of the finals was yesterday, so we had like 6 days. I actually could kind of watch some stuff on TV.
Whoa! Well, dude,
Yeah.
with those next.
Also,
two things
I
coming
would
up.
like to. Yeah, so I would like to plug. This one is kind of a tricky one because you have to have this app called Crunchyroll.
Oh yeah.
My son introduced me to this series called Kaiju Number 8, and it's freaking amazing. It's like, so the premise of it is that this is Japan, and there's kaiju that appears, and there's like a kaiju defense force that essentially has to defend the people against the kaijus. And then, on the side, there's this one guy who was aspiring to be a defense force, member, but just really kind of languished. And then, but he's kind of getting old, and you know what? He goes, I'm gonna try this for the last time, right? Kind of pushed by like a junior co-worker that came in to say, I'm also applying for it, and you shouldn't give up on your dreams. So he said, I'm not gonna give up on my dreams. So he applies for the last time, and then there's a twist. I'm not gonna tell you what the twist is, but it's freaking fantastic. So that I will say, watch that. I finished the most recent available season of Demon Slayer, and just a plug, Godzilla -1 on Netflix. I was telling my son, I'm thinking that this might be my favorite Godzilla movie, which is like heresy because, to me it was always like destroy all monsters, and everything else was whatever. I mean, yeah, there was a few, Gigan was great, Destroyer was great, but it was destroy all monsters when I was a kid, had all the monsters on the same movie, that was like the standard. And suddenly, God, this Godzilla -1 is really, really good in a very, very fundamentally different way. So if you haven't seen it, I really,
I haven't seen it yet. I'm glad it's on Netflix.
Yeah.
I have been seeing, like, I saw it was on digital. I didn't realize it was on Netflix. So now I'm definitely going to have to really think about seeing Godzilla -1. But I remember like seeing the trailer for it and then mentioning it to you guys for the first time on the podcast. So I'm glad that recommendation didn't lead you down the wrong path.
So fundamentally, it's very different from it's not, it wasn't created as like the traditional kaiju, movie where, it's not like, how Pacific Rim has that little campiness associated with it, like, because that's kind of part of the formula. This one actually, is actually, Godzilla is a central story, but there's actually the human aspect of this movie is completely like something that didn't exist in other Godzilla movies. So I think that's why it's like
it's kind of like Planet of the Apes reboot, right?
Yeah,
like there was more pathos,
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
in the newer movies.
Yep.
So yeah, maybe all right. Yes. So and there is a new Planet of the Apes, right, coming out. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
That's what I understand.
I think they're up to like 9. And what do you got for, well, let's just jump back to the games just for a second, because I was at my library the other day and picking up a bunch of manga books for my kid. Dr. Stone is the latest one, and that is also on Netflix. I don't know how many seasons are on Netflix yet, but he's fallen down that. Like the whole manga comics things have overtaken our house. Like between him and his brother, there may be 5 different series that they're reading simultaneously, like as new chapters come out online or as the translation, the books come out. And then there's so much, stuff on the streaming things. But I was there and I saw that the library has one of those Meta VR headsets.
Oh,
yeah. And with so
they had it there for you to borrow.
Yes. Which I'm like, oh man, because it's hard to argue a greater video game series than the Batman Arkham ones. There was 3, and each one of those games, the 3 games came out over like a 7-year period of time, and each one was game of the year. I mean, they were just amazing. And this new game is in that world. It's part of what do you call canon for that world. Only available on the Meta VR, Meta Quest. Right. I also might be going either to back to the library to see if they have a certain game system, or go to my favorite retro video game outlet, Joe's house, and borrow an Xbox, because at a flea market yesterday, oh, what a treasure trove. My sister was at a flea market in Wilmington and found one of those cardboard fireplaces that we used to have at Christmas. Like one of the few memories I had of my dad. It's like he would set that up and always do the dad thing. It's like, don't get too close, to the cardboard fire. So she saw that at a flea market, sent a picture to my brother and I. She goes, oh, I can't believe I saw this. And I'm like, you got it, right? My sister's like, no. And I'm like, And my next text back to her was, "You got it, right?" And so she drove back and picked up.
Oh my God.
My little guy, came home from a yard sale somewhere in the neighborhood and bought FIFA 2017 for Xbox for $2. And he's like, yeah. Well, FIFA and Madden, I think, are 1 and 1A as far as best-selling games worldwide.
Yeah.
Like every year when it comes out, it's going to be
right. But they age like fish. It's kind of like 2017. It's 7 years ago. It's probably like 8 years ago now.
Right, but but it's still the same thing as some of his favorite players of all time played before he got into football. So you can play as Wayne Rooney, who hasn't played, or Zizou. For now, I'm mentioning people who you guys have no idea who these people are. So I'll go by one at a time. So Zizou, his real name, okay. So that's my gaming thing. And then as far as sports go, yes, sadly, the Boston Professional Women's Hockey League team lost in the finals. They lost in Game 5, right here.
Yeah.
I was planning on going, but I went to Game 2, and I think my boys and I got like $40 tickets walking into the building.
Yeah. That was a hot ticket.
There were no $40
Finals.
tickets for Game 5.
Yep.
They were saying on the radio that it's a sellout Game 2. And I think technically in sports, if like 80% of tickets are sold, it's considered a sellout.
Yeah.
But this was a true, absolute sellout. People were showing up, couldn't get in the door. The tickets on the secondary market were hitting 4 figures and stuff like that, which I'm upset that I got priced out. I'm also upset that none of that money goes to those athletes. I'm also really happy that it hit a point where there was that much interest that the tickets went through the roof. I was blown away with not just the level of play I knew was great, but the fandom around the game that I went to, absolutely fantastic. The Celtics are in the NBA Finals, and I'm happy-ish about it. I don't think I can name 3 players, but I'm also unhappy because I had a gig tonight that got canceled because although there's a dedicated function room attached to this, restaurant, the rest of the restaurant is kind of sports bar-ish. And the decision was made as soon as the schedule came out. It's like, we're not doing a show.
Nobody's going to be watching this stuff.
Well, even if they come, even if it's a 50-person room, even if it sells out, which that room has been selling out, it's a monthly show through Mike Katrobis. The other parts of the restaurant that hold 300 people and the yells and the screams and the cheers were drowned out. And look, if you don't hear every syllable of my diuretic bestiality and pedophilia diarrhea jokes, I mean, it loses its subtle nuances.
Right. You really gotta it's poetry, really.
But now I understand the NHL finals. I only know that the Oilers are in it because I keep seeing these funny videos about people wearing different Canadian-based hockey hats, like having to reluctantly start cheering for the Oilers.
I think that's a misnomer. Like I think that a lot of the other fan bases, don't care. Like, I mean, because they don't, if you're maybe if you're in Ottawa or something, because that's kind of a, lukewarm, fan base. But I mean, certainly like Calgary fans aren't jumping on the, bandwagon to, cheer on the Oilers, right?
Does not the Canadianism, the Canadian patriotism supersede?
I think it's kind of interesting because it's this discussion that I had with, I had a project, at a long time ago at University of Oklahoma, and then they were the national championship game was Texas versus USC, and so there were these people that says you got to root for the conferences, and then there were you got to root for the conferences people, and then there is I will never ever root for anything that university does, right? So it kind of it's kind of that sentiment. Right, I think that if you
I look.
rivals,
I've had people in the past, before the Patriots, were good, would used to say that. It's like, well, you want somebody in the AFC East to, make it to the Super Bowl. It's like, no, you don't. No, I don't.
We tried to beat that team, and now we're not in the Super Bowl,
Right.
and now I'm going to root for the team that beat my team?
I'm not going to say I root for that team to make the Super Bowl and then have their plane crash on the way to the Super Bowl. I'm not saying that I feel that way. I feel that way, but I'm not saying.
I mean, I think there is an alternate sentiment where, like, if your team was eliminated by the eventual champion, then you don't feel as bad. Doesn't mean that you're going to be cheering for those people, but
my friend
it's
Ross
like, listen, we got eliminated, but you know what? It was, obviously these guys, they became the eventual champions. They had it right, and obviously our team didn't, kind of a thing. But yeah, no, I just don't think that. Certainly, I don't think Calgary fans and Vancouver fans are up in whatever. They're probably rooting against the Oilers.
Well, and who are the Oilers playing?
They are playing the Florida Panthers.
Remember them?
Yeah, I remember them.
but in a way, right? This is kind of the sad reality of things, right? Because 2006 was the last time a Canadian team was even in the Stanley Cup Finals, right? So in that time, right, two Florida teams, because Tampa won theirs just before 2006. So two Florida teams have won Stanley Cups, and then now this is the fifth Florida team, sixth Florida team to make it to the finals.
Yeah, so your son who just graduated high school, born 2005, Joe?
Yes.
Yeah, so 1 year old, the last time a Canadian team was in the Stanley Cup.
Finals, yes.
It's
been brutal for that. It's been brutal for Canada.
It has been brutal. Yeah. And I think large part that falls on Toronto. Anyways, yeah. What is sadder?
Come on. Come on. It's like the Toronto's failures is kind of the ongoing joke that nobody wants to die.
It fuels us. It fuels us, really.
Like I said, I didn't watch any of the, Series 2, but I did enjoy the Game 7 footage of Toronto fans, having their hearts ripped out.
Our apologies to Angelica Scanora. You're a nice person.
100%. But the rest of those bastards.
I mean, the thing is like, you know what? There's nobody that actually believed that team was good enough to win the Stanley Cup.
But it is sad that Florida teams keep making it to the Cup in a market that doesn't give a fuck. It's the same thing. Like when the Ducks won the Stanley Cup, I remember there was a player on the Bruins who in 2011 when they won the Cup was on the 2006 Duck team, 2007 Duck team that won it.
Right.
And when they had the parade in Boston that Joe and I were at with our small boys at the time, 2.5-3 million people lined the streets. And when they asked Sean Thornton about, hey, how does this compare to the Ducks Stanley Cup party? And he was so nice about the Ducks, but and then they cut to the footage. There was about 20,000 people who showed up to the Anaheim parking lot with John Taylor. I think All-Star Tommy, there was a few of us in the building when they won the Cup, and it wasn't sold out. They won the Cup, and they were playing a team that doesn't have a strong fan base. Had they been playing a New York team or Boston, was it the Wild? Ottawa. It was Ottawa, right? It was Ottawa, and so it wasn't sold out. But yeah, so that was a bit of a shame. Joe, what are you watching?
I am retreating further into the past. So far back that I'm not even watching old movies. I'm watching old episodes of Two Men Review Old Movies. Yes.
Oh, right.
I'm on SiskelEbert.org.
When I was first asked to do a television show with Gene Siskel, my original reaction was, the show sounds like a great idea, but why do I have to do it with Gene?
I just had to beat him. That was the main thing. I didn't care about anything else.
He occasionally tells me what I think, and he is only occasionally right.
He persists in thinking that he's a better film critic than I am. Drives me crazy.
For the critical difference, it's Siskel and Ebert.
Saturdays at 5:30 on MIT.
Which is a website that has all of the old episodes, virtually all. I think they're missing about 100 in their vast oeuvre. But year by year, they have a page of, in order, all of the archived on YouTube and other video sites episodes of Siskel and Ebert. And so I'm just going through them all. And I find it delightful in one way. I find it like, oh, these guys really are kind of pompous assholes. But you know what? I don't know. There's like a charm. I like watching them shit on my favorite movies. Although I watched the review for Scrooged, by the way, and Roger Ebert didn't like it because he gave it a thumbs down because he didn't see any joy in the performance of Bill Murray. And you know what? He was right, because Bill Murray had a bad time making that movie. He and Richard Donner butt heads on making that movie set. So he didn't. Anyways, but it's interesting to see what see them talk about these up and coming stars like what are they? Oh, Nicole Kidman, who many people know as Mrs. Tom Cruise. It's like, oh my God, there was a time.
That reminded me of the Nicole Kidman did an appearance on, was it The Tonight Show, where she talked about blah blah blah, and it just kind of happened. And he goes, and then she goes, well, at least I can wear heels now. Right?
Yes.
I just saw that clip the other day. I was thinking, that was great.
So Joe, please, I will let you have the honors. Tell them about the clip that you sent me from Siskel and Ebert that was 12 minutes of just pure ecstasy.
There's an outtake clip of them doing the promotional, the promos for like their upcoming episode. This week on Siskel and Ebert, that kind of thing. But they recorded all the banter in between. And you spoke about that, the Cheeto eating hero from New York City earlier. Fuck him. The guy who recorded and saved and uploaded this video is a real hero, because it's just fine repartee between these two men who may or may not have hated each other. They were frenemies, I think.
This clip that was some of the stuff was like nasty, like holy shit.
Right, but then what I did like was there's a part where Gene Siskel, who is Jewish, says something about Protestants. He's like, we don't give enough Protestants. We don't give Protestants enough shit in this country. They're the ones who control all the banks.
And then Ebert jumps in because he's a Catholic. It's like, why is everyone shitting on us? They're the ones who control everything.
Yeah, and he shakes hands. He's like, finally, the Catholics and the effing Jews can agree on something. And it's like, oh my God, it's incredible. But like, it's.
That was the beauty of that show, right? Like the fact that you could really see that tension between those two as you're watching it, right?
Exactly. And then when one disagreed with the other, one would always be like, "But Gene, how could you like this movie when it was clearly a plot hole?" And and then there was no backing down from either side. Yep. And then it was always like whoever did the last review had to throw it over to the other guy for the next review, and then the next. So like if Siskel was, commenting on a movie and Ebert disagreed with him, Ebert would then like take over for the next intro, but he would put in a dig at Siskel on the last review.
Yep.
It's like, well, you're a moron. Anyway, coming up next, that sort of thing. And then they also did a yearly holiday. No. This is a different thing.
Oh,
they did that, but they also did a holiday video gift guide. So every year they would like test out the new tech and the new things available on this awesome format called Laserdisc. And then they would play video games. There's one thing where Ebert's like fawning over this peripheral, which I have, which is it's called the Miracle Piano Teaching System. And it's a keyboard that attaches to either a PC or a Nintendo Entertainment System. And with the right software and cartridge, you learn how to play the piano with this peripheral. And he was like, I always wanted to learn how to play the piano, and now finally an idiot like me can actually play Mary Had a Little Lamb without embarrassing himself. And he performs it, and he was actually pretty good. But just like those little things, them railing against, and then they have like their beefs about like how I hate how they do this thing on video where they do pan and scans instead of widescreen. People are afraid of the letterboxing format with the black bars on the top and bottom. Really, they're doing a disservice, and it's just like all these nerdy things that I will bore you with at some other time. But I see the clock on the wall says we have to go.
Well, we got to go, but we're not.
I give that review of I give that review of Siskel and Ebert 2 thumbs down on my end. Like that, I could have been better on that. I could have been better.
Oh, well, before we go, and you're going to start it off, Mr. I got 2 kids through high school who are great members of society. What is your parenting tip of the week, Joe?
My parenting tip. Just stick with it. You know what? Don't give up. You stick with the plan. You made these kids. Yeah. Now you got to lie with them. No, wait a minute. That's wrong. I'm mixing metaphors there. Sorry. Strike that. Reverse it. No, you have to. Yeah, you just gotta. I don't know. Keep your head down and be a good dad. And let them do whatever they want. No, that's the wrong message. God damn it. I'm not good at this. Yeah, I would just say stick with it. You think of walking out, you thinking of going out for a pack of smokes?
Yes. I thought you just
keep that thought to yourself. Okay. Keep that thought to yourself. You stick with it, and you finish the job, and then when they graduate, then you can desert. No, wait, no, damn it! I guess you're never done, right? You're never done raising your kids, right? They're always your kids. Yeah, right.
I mean, I'm borrowing my mom's car at 81 because mine died this week. So yeah, Mommy, can I borrow your car for a week? What about you, Biff? What do you got going on?
What's your parenting tip, sir?
My parenting tip is I don't know. I don't have
any. You're done parenting. Your kids are adults. We just gotta,
So are mine.
Technically,
yeah. No more parenting. So hey, really. You're the only one that's really qualified to give any parenting
right.
because both Biff and I have retired from parenting.
There you go.
I don't know if qualified is the right way to put it. Like I haven't aged out of menudo yet as far as the parenting goes. Yeah.
Eligible. You're the only.
You're legally obligated to parent these.
I am. Yes. And my parenting tip this week would be. Honestly, it's an old one. It's like summer's coming up. The oldest one has his summer pretty much planned and plotted out. He starts lifeguarding full time next week. He's very excited about it, loves his lifeguarding job. The other one's a little aimless. So he's going to have to figure out some direction for his summer, or I'm going to help find direction for his summer. And what I might sign him up for might not be what he might have signed himself up for had he taken that opportunity when he had a say in the matter.
The military.
God.
No, but we're willing to learn.
So that's my thing. It's like, I'm going to give him a choice. And if he doesn't make a choice or the right one, then I will make it for him. It's I actually, I have a new joke about that, Biff. The Joe saw for the first time last night. I, talked about hitting my own kids, and I lament how I can't hit them because they're part Asian and part gay, and that's 2 hate crimes. So
I told him to drop those jokes, but
you know what?
What do I know about comedy or social awareness? I'm just a white guy. Middle-aged white guy at that.
Middle-aged man. We don't quote that enough. We don't quote middle-aged man enough.
I haven't heard that reference in maybe 25 years.
Are you looking at my gut? I'm working on it. All right, I'm done.
That's the Kids in the Hall for those of you uninitiated. Anyway, Biff, it was a pleasure having you back on the podcast. We'll see you next year. I'm sure. We didn't recap FNH's, big thing, I mean, but hey, we kind of breezed over it the last time because they were just sort of wrapping things up on our last episode. But I think you guys fell on your face, right? You guys
That's
sucked.
Correct. That's
yes. Over 3? Over 3?
Yeah. Well, so the one interesting story was that we brought, I went in hobbled. So the tournament organizers allowed me to add another goalie because I told them I'll brave through it, but I'd rather not. And they said, "Oh no, don't do that. If there's somebody willing to play, bring them along." So I had a second goalie. I played the first game. My my foot and my knee hurt like the Dickens after that. So I told the other guy,
Dickens.
Yeah, the Dickens. Right. I told the other guy, I think you're gonna fit. Play the next 2 games, right? So I got dressed because I was there, and I had what we call the backup towel. So I had the towel wrapped around my neck, and I'm just gonna maybe open a few doors, and just watch the game. So in the third game, after like the first period, the goalie comes over and says, "Biff, Biff, my back started to seize. You're gonna have to go in." It's like, what? So I had to finish the last 2 periods of that last game. So it was, yeah.
And by the way, so for God forbid somebody that isn't part of FNH is listening to this, what was the event, the annual event that
this is the so we have there's an annual so this company organizes multiple tournaments, and so most of the tournaments are in Las Vegas, but once a year they do this during the Memorial Day weekend. They do this tournament in that's in Phoenix, so Scottsdale, and then the Chandler and whatever that Phoenix area. So it's I think it's one of those tournaments that was geared towards getting those northern people out into the sun kind of a thing. So after because we used to get used to get teams from I think if you the first time I went was actually Jacques organized the team, and then the first team we played against was actually from Alaska. And boy, were they glad to be, not in Alaska.
Not in Alaska, yeah.
Because I think the main reason we beat them was because they spent the first night, just
luxuriating,
partying, and then we had like an early game at like maybe an 8:30 game the next morning. I was so shocked to see that. One of them happened to be our neighbors. When I was staying with another friend of mine, he said, "Hey, you guys going to the game too? Where are you going?" And wait, we're headed to the same place at the same time. Are we playing you? And it's like,
yeah. That's fun. Yeah, and it's every Memorial Day weekend, and then it's always a disappointment for Friday night hockey guy. I don't know why. I don't know why. Have you ever come away with at least like a I don't know? Is there like a second place trophy or something?
Yeah, we have gotten second place trophies. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. You're not the Toronto Maple Leafs of this tournament, is what I'm saying.
We've gotten to that championship round, right?
Yeah. Okay. Well, better luck next year, and my hats off to everybody who participated this year, and maybe just maybe next year Jacques will be in fighting weight.
Listen, and hockey's always been secondary in this tournament, so no joke, no kidding aside, the hockey is really secondary. It's really about having a great time. So that we did. So
yep. And that's what this podcast is about. Talking is secondary. Topics are secondary. Right. Making sense is secondary to just hanging out and having a good time. That's what we are. I'm changing this name to the podcast to the Good Time Podcast, because this is what we have each and every week, regardless of whether or not Biff is in attendance or if I'm in attendance. There were times when I wasn't here. So I guess that's my cue to wrap it up, baby. Oh, this is the part everybody loves. Me talking, me yapping. Thank you for listening to Carnival Personnel. Follow us on all of Jacques' social media. Whenever he says, and by the way, whenever he posts on social media like I or whatever, that whenever he uses the letter I in his post, that means Jacques is making his assertions and his opinions on topics, not mine. The views of Carnival Personnel Podcast do not reflect that of Joe or Biff. It's 100% Jacques Lambert. And I want to say, I wish, again, Jacques, happy birthday. The big 5'5". That's right. Calling you out. I'm going to be 47 this year, right? Yes, 47. No, I don't remember anymore. I don't care. But this is going to be the best year ever. That's what I think. Up to November-ish, like early November, I think that's when the goodness of the year 2024 is going to stop. I can hear you. You haven't muted your microphone. Anyway, we can hear you pretending to kill yourself with a gun, which we do not condone. Self-harm has no place. References to self-harm have no place on the Carnival Personnel Podcast. No rickety stool and rope store jokes here, my friend. No, no jokes saying, a guy goes into a library and says, I want to borrow a book on suicide. And the librarian says, fuck you, you'll never return it. I'm not telling that joke. What are you talking about? We would never tell those types of jokes here. So anyways, I'm being told that we are cool. That's right. I just heard on the internet that we're cool. The views that Jacques bought us really really added up to us being one of the coolest up and coming comedy / hockey podcasts. I'm glad we dropped the politics stuff. Ooh, like for the most part, we still talk a little bit about the politics, but not so much. But tune in next week for our sideshow with Mystaru, the comedian that I met for the first time at the comedy show with Jacques this week. And he's a fun guy, New Hampshire guy, and he's white and middle-aged. Go figure. He's a guest on our podcast. How did we get him? Anyway, with that, I will. Until then, the balcony is closed. Oh wait, that's Siskel and Ebert. I just kid because I'm a dope. Anyway, don't forget.
It's not hard to recognize. It's just a little shadow in your eyes. You try to hide it, but that only draws me in. Tonight you cry alone while you salt the taste your sorrows. I drown mine out of sight. Whatever I can find. You grill and I'm empty. I bailed while you were sleeping. I've been bailing all alone. Now that part of me is gone. Comes and goes.